checking the temperature of things with a thermometer is going to tell you whether it's been in between that 40 and 140 degree temperature range for too long of a period of time. So check it when you start serving and then a couple times during the serving so you can keep an eye on it. And if it's getting to be too long in that temperature range, then it's time to either get it heated back up again or get it in the refrigerator. That 40 to 140 degree temperature range, that's happiness for bacteria to grow. They love that temperature, and it's warm, it's cozy, and they just go crazy. So let's not let that happen.
The holiday season is officially here. Food, usually a lot of it, is part of the holiday celebration. Whether it's the traditional large meal with family and friends, potlucks at work, or the company party, food seems to be everywhere. While we often worry about gaining a few extra pounds during the holidays, a Kansas State University food scientist says we should be equally as concerned about food safety. On today's Sound Living, food safety reminders to prevent foodborne bacteria from ruining holiday get-togethers. Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman. Kansas State University food scientist Karen Blakeslee says that following 4 food safety principles, along with regularly washing our hands, is the best way to prevent foodborne illness. Karen, when it comes to the holidays, the food safety information is really still the same. It doesn't matter whether you're cooking for 1 or you're cooking for 100. You still got to follow all of the same principles.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just during the holidays either. It's every day. So those basic principles of clean, cook, chill, separate, those are the 4 core practices that we should all incorporate into every meal that we prepare. And one extra step would be to wash your hands, because that is your first line of defense against any foodborne illness that could possibly happen down the road. Of course, hand washing fits into the cleaning side of things. Start with clean equipment, clean countertops, washing your hands. Start with that. Then move on to the next steps. The cooking steps, primarily we're talking about, cooking meats properly and using a thermometer, because that is going to tell you your doneness. It's never a good idea to rely on color, because color can be deceiving, especially, for example, in ground beef or ground meat products, because the color pigments may still look a little pink, but when you actually take the temperature of it, it's over 160 degrees, which is a safe temperature. So color pigments in meat can be a little deceiving. That's why we advocate for using a food thermometer. And it's also a good way to not overcook your meat products. So it's a quality factor that feeds into that too. And then keep hot foods hot above 140 degrees when you're serving them. And then on the other side is chilling those products. If you have leftovers, break them down into smaller portions so that they cool faster in your refrigerator. If you're serving cold foods, especially in the hot summer months, which is not what we're in right now, but you want to keep things cold, and that's below 40 degrees. And then the last step is separate, and that's keeping raw meat products, for example, away from ready-to-eat foods like a salad or anything that you're not going to cook again before you serve it. Even utensils, using a different utensil when you're cooking and starting off with raw meat products, and then you've got your finished product. You don't want to use the same one. Either wash it or use a different one, a different utensil. So those little things you just may not think about, those little things like that can make a big difference in how safe your food is when you prepare a meal at home.
One of the other things we run into this time of the year is the fact that there are a lot of cooks in the kitchen sometimes as we get all the family members together. And that's kind of a good reminder to let people know that, hey, you need to follow all of the same rules so that we know what everybody's doing.
Absolutely. And again, washing your hands is the first thing. It's great to have help in the kitchen. Things go faster, things get done easier, saves you a lot of time if you're the host. But just, use those little reminders. If you're serving a buffet or something like that, People can help set foods out. Maybe you're helping serve a meal at a community dinner. In those situations, too, it's equally as important to use food safety practices. Washing your hands, wearing disposable gloves, using serving utensils, wearing an apron, holding your hair back if you have longer hair, try to contain it, or wear a hat or something like that so you don't have hair falling in the food. I find that kind of disgusting. So, things like that. Community meals are great, but you really do want to have a heightened sense of awareness of following good food safety practices, just as you would at home.
Some of this is also making sure that you're kind of cleaning as you go.
Yes. Saves a lot of time in the end, and it saves you a lot of space on your countertops with the stacking up dirty dishes and things. So cleaning as you go, fill up your dishwasher, get that going if you need to. Sometimes you need to use the same pan a couple times. So obviously you would want to wash it in between. So yes, cleaning as you go after you handle any raw meats or raw eggs, things like that, even raw flour. Baking this time of year is really popular, and flour is a raw product, and you do want to wash your hands after handling that, and obviously washing your utensils, cleaning the countertops and things like that. So clean as you go. It saves a whole lot of time and effort in the end after you get something ready and put in the oven and ready to go.
I think one of the challenges of the holidays is trying to coordinate all of the food to come out at the same time. So this really takes a lot of planning because we know that you can only get so many things on the stove and in the oven.
That's a little tricky. And so planning now is really important. You could ask your guests to bring a dish, something that they can easily travel with. Some dinner rolls or a cold salad. Of course, they want to keep that cold. Vegetable trays are really easy. Something that's portable that they could bring. And that would save you space in your own kitchen. But there's a whole lot of appliances out there besides just your stove. Long ago, that's all we had was just your stove. But now a lot of people use the roasters, the tabletop roasters, to cook a turkey in or cook a ham. Those that have grills or smokers, they will use those to cook the turkey or ham outside. And then the electric pressure cookers are really popular right now, and so that's another easy and fast way to cook a variety of things, really. And then, of course, slow cookers are still a mainstay in many, many houses. Slow cookers can cook a casserole or your stuffing or creamed corn, or it can help keep hot foods hot, too, like your mashed potatoes or something like that. So think about those little appliances that you could use and incorporate and save space in your oven for the bigger items. And, of course, your stovetop. Microwaves, that's really fast cooking for some things that could be useful. So you could think about meal items that could incorporate the use of your microwave also.
There might be some things you could make a day or two in advance.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of things you can make ahead and freeze. Like dinner rolls, for example. Make them now. Get them done, put them in the freezer. And then you can just pop them in the microwave to warm them up, and it'll be just like they're fresh out of the oven. Even pie. You can freeze pie either baked or unbaked. Some pies freeze better than others. Fruit pies tend to freeze pretty well. Your custard-type pies, they're okay, but the crust might get a little soggy in the end. But it is a way to at least get some of the prep work done ahead of time. Another thing you could do is just at least make the pie crusts and freeze those. So think about those little things that could be done ahead of time. Planning out what ingredients you have so when you go to the grocery store, too, make sure you get everything that you need. So making a list is really important, not just during the holidays, but any time of year. Plus, it also reminds you that these are really the items I need to get. And it helps steer you clear of those items that you probably really don't need to have. So stay on task, and that can also save you money in the end, too. That way you don't buy things that you really don't need.
You mentioned the hot foods hot, the cold foods cold. When do we know when we've reached that point in terms of kind of the buffet style where everything is just out on a table or out on the counter and we've kind of lost track of time?
Yeah. along with that hot foods hot, cold foods cold scenario, we recommend that food not set out for more than 2 hours. But there's ways that you could keep hot foods hot, again, using warming trays or chafing dishes that have hot water underneath them, even using slow cookers or even roasters to keep some things hot. That can help extend that a little bit. But checking the temperature of things with a thermometer is going to tell you whether it's been in between that 40 and 140 degree temperature range for too long of a period of time. So check it when you start serving, and then a couple times during the serving so you can keep an eye on it. And if it's getting to be too long in that temperature range, then it's time to either get it heated back up again or get it in the refrigerator. That 40 to 140 degree temperature range, that's happiness for bacteria to grow. They love that temperature, and it's warm, it's cozy, and they just go crazy. So let's not let that happen.
You mentioned getting it into the refrigerator, and as part of that, we want to make this in containers that are a little bit more long and maybe not quite so deep.
Yeah, a good rule of thumb is like a 2-inch depth, whatever kind of container you're going to use. And then something, you need to cover it with something, whether that's a lid that'll fit on there. Using foil or plastic wrap works well too. If it gets to be deeper than that, it's just going to take longer for your refrigerator to chill things down. There's also been the theory that you need to let hot food sit out on the counter for a while for it to cool off before you put it in the refrigerator. Today's refrigerators are a lot more efficient than older ones, and so that's really not necessary to do that. In fact, my own refrigerator, it's got a turbo button on it that will speed up the chilling time on it. So, there's all kinds of bells and whistles on refrigerators now, but they really are a lot more efficient and they pull the heat out faster. But keep in mind that the containers that you put them in should be around 2 inches, and that will help chill it down fast.
If someone is making a turkey or a ham, is that something that should be taken apart or sliced, or how do we store that?
Yeah, if you have turkey, you do want to take the turkey off the bones because it'll cool down faster and it's easier to handle, later if you want to freeze it or whatever or use it for something else. You can get another use out of those bones too. Put them in a large pot with some water on it and make some turkey broth out of it. And then you've got broth for soup. Don't waste that good turkey bones. You can get some good flavor out of that. But turkey will chill down faster if you take it off the bones and use it that way. Ham, especially if you have a bone-in ham, again, you want to take it off the bone. And yet again, a ham bone makes good ham and beans. So you can get multiple meals out of some of these things. But it also helps the ham cool down faster also. If you leave it sit there on the bone, it stays hot for a long time because that bone is still hot. So getting it off of there is really beneficial to get it chilled down faster.
The other thing you're talking about here is not creating food waste. Make sure that you're using everything that you've put together for this big meal.
Absolutely. We have a big problem with food waste in this country. We throw away a large amount of food. I've heard numbers of 40% of our food ends up in the landfill. That's crazy, especially this time of year when, there's a lot of people that could use a lot of good food. So think about those ways that you can get multiple uses out of things. You've got leftover turkey, you can get the soup stock off of the bones, but the leftover turkey could be made into casseroles or sandwiches or whatever, yet another meal. So think about that. Don't just throw it away.
You've got a lot of food safety tips for the holidays online. How can people find that? Yeah,
that would be on our Extension Food Safety website, and that is www.ksre.ksu.edu/food safety. And we've got a whole section under the topics of interest that will lead you to resources for the holidays.
That's Kansas State University food scientist Karen Blakeslee. Again, for more information on food safety, visit ksre.ksu.edu/food safety or contact your local county or district extension office. Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman, and this is the K-State Radio Network.